Yes, I guess we can begin now. Yes. Alhamdulillah. I hope it went good for you all as well. Yesterday I got the tunes. Let's see. What else, Umar? Inshallah, Akif. We'll be getting that soon. Okay, let's just begin. So, what do you called? Yeah. Last week we stopped in discussing the 2021 papers, these first few questions, and we'll begin from here. Those who have the tune, go to page number 14. And those who don't have the programming booklet, I would have given a booklet called program booklet, no, training for the classes. If you don't have this tune, you can just refer the screen sharing and you can start doing this question. So this is page number 14 for those who have the tune. For those who don't have the tune, it's the 2021 oral papers, Roman number 2 question. Start answering this. I'll give you 5 minutes. Once you're done answering, raise your hands up in Zoom. I gave you 5 minutes to do this question. Start doing this question. For those who join now, in the chat, if you feel like you can't message me, there's option messaging me. What you can do is you would have seen a message of mine. Okay, so you can go and click on the profile picture of mine or name of mine, and you can message me. Or go to the participants list, just click on my name, and you can message from there as well. Is it fine if we still do it on the book, even though we have the booklet? Yeah, it's fine. No issues. Why, Rashida? Why? Those who are done, raise your hands up in Zoom. What question, which year? Roman number 2, 2021 oral paper. This is page 14, basically. 2021 oral paper question. We have done the same question in the class. Is it? Maybe. I can't remember. Is it? Again, try doing it again and discuss. I don't have page 14, only page 13. You have this right. Whatever is there after this. Go to the page, what is there after this? 2021 oral papers, Roman number 2. How can we get the tube? If you're coming to the theory class, then what you called, you would have got this tube, a tube called programming booklet. You have got the tube along with it. If you're not coming to the theory class, then I would have posted this booklets PDF. You can get the PDF version if you're not coming for the class, because the class ones I get the printed version. I will share in the chat the WhatsApp paper class WhatsApp community. So after class, I'll again post the PDF there. Is it Rashid? I can't remember. Anyway, I'll again send that paper class communities link. Ta-dum, ta-dum, ta-dum. Okay, sent. Let's see. I can't find where I kept my tweet. Why? I think. Did you get the theory class? Mhm. Is it Shila? You have 1 minute more remaining. Those who are done with the question, raise your hands up in Zoom. I can see 10 people are done. Others, all your questions are either the ones you gave in the class. Maybe it's that just because it's that you have practiced many questions there. So it's easy. Isla answer sent Eid wish using methods. I thought you will send it using words like mention at your Eid. So, and didn't you read that whole message properly? The first one is regarding math, second is regarding science, third is regarding commerce, and last one is regarding IT. It's a message of all, not just only maths. Okay, what time is up? Let's check your answers. So the question says a teacher asks for 50 students to choose their preferred travel destination, either Kandy or Gaul, for the annual school trip. So there are 50 students, it seems, and they are planning to go for a trip, it seems. And the teacher has asked, okay, to choose, do you want to go to Kandy or do you want to go to Gaul? Fine. The destination will be decided based on a higher student's preference. Fair enough. Okay, so let's take you're going to have a poll for 50 students. The following flowchart with blanks labeled from A to F represent this scenario. Okay, cool. Let's check. Is it too late? Anyways, let's again do so. So what's happening here is there is initially the students count is 0. The Kandy count is 0. The goal count, definitely in the beginning, it has to be how much? Before anyone voted, the total students count, they have considered to be 0. And total Kandy count to be 0. And here also the beginning of the program. So what do you think the total goal count has to be? In the beginning, before anyone voted. Exactly. Perfect. Before anyone voted, the total count, what do you call goal count also has to be 0. Perfect. So definitely A has to be representing the value 0. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Huh? So that's a easy one. There was nothing to think much there. But yeah, let's go through the program. So within the program, there is a condition you're going to check here. And this condition you're going to check basically the student count. Is student count less than something? Fine. If the student count is less than a specific value or whatever, we don't know what exactly B is at the moment, you're going to get the student's travel preference. Okay. And you're going to go and check is the travel preference Kandy? Fine. So if the travel preference is Kandy, obviously you have to increase the Kandy's count. Makes sense. If the student what you call preference is not Kandy, then you're increasing the goal count. Again, makes sense. And then you're going to increase the student count. Okay. Now, if you look at this scenario, you can see student count is talking about the number of students we have got the preference from. Now, initially, you can see the student's preference was 0. Okay. After we have got the preference, after we have checked is it can be a goal and increase the value respectively. Now you're going to increase the value of student count. So you can see we're increasing the value of the student count. Initially student count was 0 now. We're increasing the value of student count after we get a specific student's preference. We're asking the student, does he want to go goal or candy? After we get that, we're increasing. Okay. So initially, what do you call? Here we're checking a condition, right? With the variable called student count, we're checking something. Okay. We're checking is the value of student count less than something. Is the value of student count less than something? We are checking. We figure out what B is actually. Okay. Now, when the student count was 0, you came and checked. Okay. And if the check was pass, Okay, so when the student count was 0, you had a check to see can we go further or not. If you went further, now you're going to get the preference of the first student. I'll again explain what I mean by here. Okay, you can see before I came for this condition, right? Before I came for this condition, the value of student count was 0. So when the value of student count is 0, I'm here checking a condition. I'm going to answer a question. If that condition is true, you can say I'm going to go and get the travel preference. So I got the travel preference of the first student when the count was 0. Now using this idea, tell me when I'm going to go and take the second student's preference. Okay, when I'm going to go and get the second student's preference as per this program, when I'm again going to come here to this condition. Okay, I'm again going to come to this condition, and based on this condition, I'm going to decide can we go and take the second student's preference. So when I'm going to go and get the second student's preference from here, what will be the value of student count? When it's 0, I'm deciding whether I have to go and take the first student's preference. So when it's how much am I deciding whether to go and take the second student's preference? When it's 0, I'm going to go and check, should I go and take the first student's preference? So when it's how much am I checking, should I go and take second student's preference? Exactly. Okay. If you look at the program properly, before we go and check the student count, okay, before you go and check the student count, you can see the students count value is increasing by 1. See from here in the bottom, if you look at, see, you can see the value of student count is increasing by 1. So initially, if the value was 0, and after you took the first student's preference, you added 1 to it. So 0 will become 1, right? 0 will become 1. So after 0 become 1, you're again going to come here and you're going to go and again check the student count is less than something, right? So when you're going to go and check is student count less than something, now the value of student count is going to be 1. You're going to go and check is 1 less than whatever you're going to go and check. Okay. So you're going to go and check here, right? Is 1, I mean, student count less than something. You're making the decision there. Okay. When the value of student count is 1, you're making the decision, should I go and get the second student's preference? Okay, because earlier we took the first student's preference. Now we are going and asking the question, should I go and take the second student's preference? Similarly, tell me, let's say now the value of count is 5. Using this idea, tell me if the value of count is 5, and let's say now you're in this point, you're in this place, and you have to answer this question. You're in the question where is student count less than B? So when you're in this point, if the value of student count is 5, now you're making the decision, should I go and get whose, what do you call, which student's preference? When the count is 5, now you're making the decision, should I go and take whose preference? Student number? When the count is 5, you're making the decision, should I go and get whose preference? When the count is 5. Correct. Exactly. This is where you have to use your maths proportion knowledge. In maths, you have learned something called proportions, right? I hope you all know what is proportion. Okay. When the value of count was 0, so when the program came from top to bottom, when the count was 0, here we're having a checkpoint, right? In this checkpoint, basically they are checking, should you go and take the first student's marks? First student's preference, whether the first student wants to go to Candy or God. After you're done with the first student, you can see this fellow is increasing the value of student count. The last statement is increasing the value of student count. So after student count increases, again you again come to this blue color highlighted condition. So when you come in blue color highlighted condition now, the value of count will be 1. So the value of count is 1. Now you're making the decision, right? You're making the decision here. Should I go and get the second student's preference? So second student's preference. So when the count was 0, you're deciding, should I go and take the first student's preference? When the count was 1, you're deciding, should I take the second student's preference? So if the count is 5, that means you're going to go and get which student's preference? The sixth student's preference. Is that part clear? Not progression, this is logics. Proportion. Proportion means when when one is increasing, another one is increasing, one is decreasing, another one is decreasing. Okay. Now using this idea, Ryan, I can't see any messages. Can you again resend it? Okay, using this idea, tell me, I have to make sure that I get the preference of 50 students. Okay, I have to get the preference because in the question they have mentioned that there are 50 students. I have to get the preference of 50 students. Okay, so when when the value of count is 0, I'm deciding the count is 48. Okay, when the value of count is 48, I am deciding should I go and get the 49 students, what you call preference. When the value of count is 49, I am deciding should I go and get the 50 students preference. When the value of count is 50, I'm deciding should I go and get the 51 students preference. Okay, the count and the preference. Now tell me, when the value of student count is 48, when the value of student count is 48, should the program continue? Should the program, what you call, get the travel preference now? When it is 48, should I go and get the preference? Yes or no? When the value of student count is 48, okay, when this value is 48, should I go and get this person's preference, this number person's preference? Exactly. When it is 48, I have to go and get. Correct. Okay. I have to go and get. When it is 49, when the student's count is 49, should I go and get this, what do you call, preference from the student? When the student count is 49, should I go and get the respective preference? When the count is 49, should I go and get the preference? Yes. Perfect. Correct. Now tell me, when the count is okay. Now tell me, when the count is 50, should I go and get the respective student's preference? When the count is 50, should I go and get the respective person's preference? Perfect. Majority of you all are focusing on the question. Some of you all are not, still don't focus. You're still in the dream world. Okay, very few. But a majority got it correct. Exactly. When the value of count is 50, you're deciding, should I go and get the 51 students preference? As per the question, should you go and get 51 students preference? No, you'll get only 50 students preference. So when the count is 0, you have to continue. When the count is 1, you have to continue. When the count is 40, you have to continue. When the count is 49, you have to continue. But when the count is 50, you should not continue getting the preference. You should not go and this all should not happen when the value of count is 50. Okay, only when the value of count is 49, it should actually happen. Is that part clear for those who told the wrong answer earlier? Okay. When the value of 0, when the count is 0, we have to go and get. When the value of count is 1, we have to go and get. When the value of count is 2, we have to go and get. When the value of count is 48, yes. 49, yes. But when the value of count is 50, no. Why it's no? Because when the value of count is 50, in that decision box, you're checking what? Should I go and get the 51 students preference? Because I told you, right? When the value of count was 0, we are deciding, am I going to go and get the first student's preference? Okay. See, when the value of count was 0, we are deciding, should I go and take the first student's preference? Right? If I again come to this question properly, before coming to this blue color highlighted, what do you called condition? Before coming to this blue color highlighted condition, again, these are for the people who did not get the correct answer earlier. For those who said yes for that question I asked. Okay, I'm talking to you all at the moment. Okay. Before I came for this blue color highlighted statement, did I take any students' preferences? Whether they want to go to Goal or Candy? Look at the flowchart and see. Before that blue color highlighted statements, are there anything talking about input preference? No. Perfect. So the purpose of this condition is based on this conditional, you're going to decide. See, when this condition is giving you yes, only if this condition is going to give you yes, you're going to follow the get travel preference, check if the travel preference is Candy, this, all these stated statements are highlighted in yellow and green. Okay. Yellow and green statements I've highlighted. You will be following these instructions only if that blue color condition is true. Is that part clear? Perfect. Now, this always a condition is like a checkpoint. You're deciding, you're checking a condition, and based on the condition, you're going to decide, should I go down or should I go the other side? I mean, should I go what side should I go based on the condition? Now, in this condition, you're checking the value of student count. You're checking the value of student count. Okay. When you're checking the value of student count, currently, what is the value of student count? Like when you started the program and you came here from top to bottom, now you have come here. When you come there, as per now, what is the value of student count? As per now. Yes. See, before you came, when you came for the blue color highlight statement, as per now, the value of student count was 0. So when the value of student count is 0, you're making a condition there, right? So in this condition, you're going to go and check, is student count less than B? No. So when you say is student count less than B, the meaning of that is what? Is 0 less than B, right? We don't know what is B still. Okay. B is just a label there, but we're going to go and check the value of student count. So when we're checking this condition, the value of student count we're checking is 0. The value of student count we're considering is being 0. So when the value of student count is 0, we are checking a condition. And depending on that condition, we are deciding, should I go and get the first instruction you can see is I'm deciding, should I go and get the travel preference? Okay. Now, when the value of count is 0, I'm making the decision to take which student's travel preference. Is it the first time I'm taking this or have I taken earlier? Is the first or second or third, or when the student count was 0, now how many times am I coming to take the student's preference? I'm making the decision, should I go and get the which student's preference? The first student's preference? Or before this, have I taken a second student's preference? Exactly. It's a first student's preference. Before this, did I take anywhere? No. So when the value of count is 0, when it's 0, I'm checking here. I'm deciding, should I go and get the first student's preference? Now, when you come through the program, when you travel through the program again, okay, if you go further down, you can see we have a part to check, blah, blah, blah. Ignore that for now. When you come down, you can see there's the instruction here. The green color highlight statement is saying student count is equal to student count plus 1. So what's happening by this statement is basically it's increasing the value of student count by 1. You can see when you say student count, I'll just use the short form as SC. Yeah? When they say SC is equal to SC plus 1, basically student count is equal to student count plus 1. Always I told you in equation, we're giving the value for the left-hand side person. So the meaning of this is basically the student count's new value is going to be equal to the current value plus 1. Now up to here, the value of student count was 0, right? So 0 plus 1 is going to be equal to 1. So after I follow for the first time, after I follow the green color instruction, the value of student count is going to be 1. Is that part clear? After I follow the blue color statement and yellow color statement, the value of student count is going to be 1. Got it? After I follow the green color statement. Perfect. So after I follow the green color statement, it's going to be 1, right? Now again, if you follow the lines and go, again, I'm coming to this blue color highlight statement. Here again, I'm going to go and check, is student count less than B, right? When I'm going to go and check this statement, now the value of student count is what? The value of student count is 1. And I'm making the decision to go and get whose travel preference. Am I going to make the decision to take the first student's preference? Or now I'm making the decision to go into the second student's preference? Now, which student's preference am I making the decision to go and take whose preference? The first students or second students? Exactly, second student. When the value of student count was 0, I was making the decision, should I go and take the first student's travel preference? When the value of count was 1, now I'm making the decision, should I go and get the second student's preference? Based on this logic, tell me, when the value of count is 48, now I'm making, how I saying first man, were you sleeping all this time? The value of count was 0, right? We took the first student's preference. After we took the first student's preference, only we even increase the value of green color. Before we came for the green color statement, we went for the yellow color statement. So after we got the first student's preference only, we followed the yellow color, and then only we came and followed the green color, right? So we have already taken the first student's preference. After we took the first student's preference only, we increase the value of count and We again came to blue. So first student's preference is already taken. Now we again came here for the blue color statement to decide, should I go into the second student's preference, right? Now using this idea, tell me, when the value of count is 48, I'm making the decision to go and take which student's preference. Now I'm asking the question, okay, should I go and take whose preference? The value of count is 48. Yes, if it's 0, if it's 1, if it's 1, if it's 2, if it's 48, you can see it's increasing by 1, right? So if the value of student count is 48, now I am deciding, should I take the 49th student's preference? Similarly, when the count is 49, I'm going to make the decision to take whose preference? The value of count is 49. Now I'm going to go and make the decision to take whose marks. When count is 49, exactly. When count is 49, now I'm going to decide, should I go and take the 50th student's marks? I'm asking the question, okay, should I go and take the 50th student's marks? Perfect. Okay. I'm asking the question, should I go and take the 50th students? Because when the count was 48, we're asking, should I go and take the 49? When the count was 1, we're asking, should I take 2? When the count is 2, we're asking, should I take 3? When the count is 49, we're asking, should I take the 50th student's marks? Similarly, when the count is 50, you're going to ask, should I go and take the 51 students' preference? Now, you got to go and take the 49, you got to go and take the 50, but not 51. So that means we have to write a condition here. Okay, the condition here, when the value of count is 0, it has to continue. It has to give yes. When the value of count is 1, it has to give yes. When the value of count is 48, it has to give yes. When the value of count is 49, it has to give yes. But when the value of count is 50, it has to give no. So that's the condition. The condition we write there, from 0 to 49, it has to give yes. But when the value of count is 50, it has to give no. Okay, so that is how that the condition has to be. To make that logic work, what we can do is we can write the condition as is count less than 50. Okay, for that condition there, if I go and write something like this, is count, student count here, is student count is student underscore count. Is it less than 50? Now, if I have the what you call condition like this, if you go and check, is 0 less than 50? Yes. Is 1 less than 50? Yes. Is 48 less than 50? Yes. Is 49 less than 50? Yes. Is 50 less than 50? No. So from 0 to 49, it will give pass. At 50, it will give no, you can't go. Okay, it will stop the repetition. Okay. So the condition there for the label B is going to be 50. Label A got 0. And now label B we have figured out it's actually 50. Is that clear, all of you? Yes or no? Understood how I decided that 50 and not 51 or 49 or something else? So always keep in mind, in repetition, when you have a condition, how you decide the value there is you have to decide, okay, how many times should this repeat? Because mostly in majority of the situation, not all, but majority of the situation, the condition is who's going to decide should the repetition happen or not. So if the student count was 1, then it should be 51, right? There are 3 things this depends on. This answer is depending not only on that. I got the confirmation that it's exactly 50, not just by the student count. There are 2, if you notice properly, there are 2 things I checked. The first thing I checked was, yes, like you said, the initial value of student count. Initial value of student count. Why I check initial value of student count and not any other variables is because in this condition, you can see student count is a variable that is being evaluated. We are comparing student count variable. So therefore, I first went and saw the initial value of student count. This was the first thing I checked. So I saw here the initial value of student count was 0. That's the first thing. Second thing I checked was the incrementing amount. Incrementing by amount. What I mean by incrementing by amount is I saw by how much is the value of student count increasing every time. Whenever the loop is completed, you can see this green color highlighted statements. Whenever the loop is completed means whenever the inside the repetition structure, this condition, and this one. When all of these are done, before we go for the second round, okay, before you go for the second round, you can see the value of student count, it's increasing by how much? It's increasing by 1. So then I got the idea, okay, initially if it was 0, if it increases by 1, it will become 1, then 2, then 3. I was like, okay, this is the value, this is how the values of student count is going to increase. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So these are two things I check first. Third thing is I read the question and saw how many times it has to repeat, how many students we have to go and evaluate, how many students we have to go and get the preference form. So the question says 50 students. So when the count is 0, I had to continue. When the count is 1, I had to continue. When the count was 0, I'm going to go and get the first student's preference. When the count was 1, I'm going to go and get the second student's preference. So now I'm thinking I have to get 50 students preference. So for 50 students, what will be the count exactly respectively? So that's how I exactly evaluated this. There are three things I checked to be precise. So like Umar said, yeah, if the student count was 1, then this would be 51. Perfect. If there's any other questions, drop in the chat. Huh? So we found out what is A, we found out what is B. Now let's go for the next one. Next one is talking about C. Where is C? Okay. You can see there is a condition we are going to go and check. Is travel preference candy? Okay. In this specific condition, we are going to go and check is the travel preference candy. So if the travel preference is candy, you can see we have to increase the value of candy count. Initially candy count, you can see the program. Initially candy count was 0. Now we are right here label. We have right here condition to increase the value of candy count. So you all know if you want to increase the value, normally if you take a variable, if you want to increase the value of a variable, how we do is we say new value is equal to current value plus 1. Again, the variable name is going to be the same, right? So we're going to say, just like we had here student count is equal to student count plus 1, for the candy part, it should be candy count is equal to candy count plus 1. So C is going to represent candy count. So initially candy count was 0, but if the preference was candy count, sorry, if the preference was candy, now we are going to increase the candy count by 1. So C is going to be candy count. Anyone have any questions there? So 50 is the final answer, right? For B, yes. C equals 0, right? Okay, if you say C equals 0, then you're saying candy count is equal to 0 plus 1, right? So again and again, let's say the first student shows candy. So, okay, if the first student has chosen candy, you're going to come and say candy count equals 0 plus 1. So 0 plus 1 is now the new value of candy count is going to be 1. Initially, you can see, okay, initially from here we have told the candy count is 0, right? When you come here and you say the first student's preference, if you say what do you call candy count is equal to 0 plus 1, so 0 plus 1 is going to be 1. Fine. Now let's say you're going to go and get the second student's preference. Let's say second student is also saying I want to go to candy. The second student is also saying I want to go to candy. So when you're going to go and get the second student's preference, now you have to increase the value of candy count by 1. Okay, you have to increase the value of candy count by 1, right? Not the value of 0 by 1. So if you put 0 by 1, for every student is going to be 0 plus 1, 0 plus 1, 0 plus 1. So technically the value of candy count is going to be 1 at the end. It will not go more than 1, right? Do you get the problem there? Okay, so there it should be not 0 plus 1, existing candy counts plus 1. So C has to be candy count. Similarly, DNE, you can actually DNE you can swap and write. So I'll write DNE together. Okay, for DNE you can write one has to be what do you call goal, because now if you say DNE, that is if the condition is no, because you're going to go and check is candy, is a travel preference candy. If it's candy, you're going to increase the candy count. If it's no, now we have to increase the goal count. So how do you increase the goal count? You can say goal count is equal to goal count plus 1. So if you say D is goal count, then you can say E is plus 1, or else you can mix them as well, no issues. And E is going to be plus 1. Is D and E clear, all of them? Again, you all can swap D and E. Yeah? Anyone have any questions regarding that part, the D and E? And then if you look at the program, again, if there's any questions, drop in the chat. Okay, so after that, you can see the whole program repeat 50 times. And when you're coming for the no, that means you have taken all 50 students' preferences. Now you're going to come and decide, is candy count greater than something? If candy count is greater than something, you're going to say, okay, we have to go to candy. Or else we're going to go and say, we have to go to goal, right? So now we are going to compare what and what to decide. So we have to compare the candy count with what count to decide where to go. What do you think F has to be? Based on F only, based on that condition, we are going to decide, are we going to candy or goal? In one variable, we have the total count of candy votes. In another variable, we have the total count of goal votes, right? So we're going to compare these two, only decide, should we go to candy or goal, right? So based on that, tell me, what is F? What is the name of the variable that has a goal count? Exactly. Yes, the variable that has a goal count is basically goal count, right? So F is going to be goal count. You're going to compare the candy count variable with goal count variable. You're checking, is the candy count more than goal count? If the candy count is more than goal count, then you're saying we'll go to candy. If this is giving you false, then we are going to say go to goal. Like if the candy count is more than goal, then yes. So if the candy count is more than goal, go to candy, or else go to goal. That kind of idea. Is this clear, all of you? Understood how I found out A, B, C, D, E, F? Exactly, it's easy. It's just that you logically think how things work practically, basically. Put 1 mark each for each of them. Okay. And tell me out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of 6 marks, how much you all got? Let me know in the chat. As well as if you have any questions, drop in the chat. I didn't get it. How did you get the goal count? D or F? Only B was confusing. Now are you clear about that part? Hasna, what do you call D? Label D goal count or label F goal count? Your meaning? I wrote 49 for B. How did you even think of 49? 49 is less than or equal to. Always think when how the question will go. Is this an ED, easy, or mid-type question? Um, for my level, I will be like, this is easy. Okay. Because I used to give sometimes harder than these questions. Uh, if you all have no experience doing hard questions, then it's like a mid, they're not easy. This is, let's say, a mid-level question. Like the question is easy, but there are some one bad trap is there. Like at least you're gonna get 5 out of 6. The only thing which you have to mess up is that B part. If you mess up the B part, then perfect. I mean, that's how the question was made. Exactly. Can we put 25 for the last one? How do you say it's 25? That's logically, you can't argue that. As if you're saying 25, um, logically, I mean, mathematically, you're valid because obviously it should be more than half. But let's say, what do you call, where can this go wrong? Logically, this can be taken as 25 as well, but don't mention 25. Then there is no purpose of having a goal count. I didn't get the label yet. I'll come wait. What if the against student count is less than or equal to? Then it's 49. Try and pay. Can we simply put D in the F, put D in the F position? D and F both have the same answer. F has two possible answers. What's up, yeah? They'll answer that thing. What's up? Okay, I'll again explain about that F part. What is the purpose of travel preference equals candy condition? That's a question, man. We are going and asking, is the travel preference candy? So if the travel preference is candy, no, let's say I'm asking you a question. I'm asking, what is your travel preference? Where do you want to go for the trip? Do you want to go to candy or God? After I ask you what is your preference, now I'm going to go and check, is your preference candy? So if your preference is candy, I'm going to be like, okay, increase the value of candy count. Or else I'm going to say increase the value of gold count. Coming back to that F part, okay. Yes. Okay, coming back to the F part. In this class F, okay, in the label F, what's actually happening there is, when you're coming to this label F, you can see only when that blue color condition is no, you're coming there. When will the blue color condition give no? After we have taken all 50 students' preferences. Okay, because what's happening in that repetition structure, the blue color, yellow color, green color, in that whole repetition structure, what's happening is one by one, you're taking all the students' preferences. So after you have taken all 50 students' preferences, once you're done with that, you will come towards this no direction, right? When you're coming to this no direction, you have already taken the 50 students' preference now. So when you're taking the 50 students' preferences, how you have that is you have the value stored in two different variables. If the students told that they want to go to candy, the number of students who said they want to go to candy, you have that in a variable called candy count. See, by because of this part, see, students preference candy. If it is yes, you're increasing the value of candy count. So what happens is this candy count variable has the number of students who wants to go to candy. And the number of students who wants to go to goal, that is there in the variable called goal count. Okay, candy count and goal count. These are two variables where we have stored how many are going to candy, how many are going to go to goal. Now, after we have stored those two values, we have to make the final decision. After we have got all the students' preference, now we have to make the final decision. Are we going to go to candy or are we going to go to goal? How do you decide that? You have to see who has more votes. Does candy count has more vote or does goal count has more vote? How can you compare that? You can compare that by saying, is candy count's vote basically, is it more than goal count's vote? So if candy count's vote is more than goal's count vote, then I believe, okay, let's go to candy. Or is this go to goal? So logically, the most suitable answer there is candy count more than goal count. But mathematically, you can use 25 there as well. I am not going to explain that because that's an unpreferred answer. In this program, what if both of them are equal? Then what will be a program display? The program will display candy. This program is a bit biased to candy people. I think the person who made the program, he wants to go to candy. But then he's like, no, let's take the student's preference. So if it's equal, as per this program, they're going to candy. But yeah, keep it aside. Hasna got the idea of F? And who had the questions regarding F? Are clear? Label F. Okay, perfect. If there's any other questions, drop in the chat. Let's go for the next one. It's like we should go to candy or not candy or goal, but preferred candy. Like for example, imagine, like let's say you're asking your parents asking you, can you actually go here or here? Like in their mind, they want to go to one place only, but then they're just asking you, shall you go here or here? Okay, so here this bugger wants to go to candy. You can see everything is like candy until 6 or maybe. Okay, start doing this question. All of you, I'll give you 5 minutes. I'm going to put all of your hands down. So once you're done with this question, raise your hands up. Huh? Hmm. So let's on the timer. Yeah. Once done with this question, raise your hands up. If you have any doubts, drop in the chat. This is an array question for your information. If you're done this with this question, raise your hands up in. Did you start the third chat? No, we are starting the third chapter in the theory class this week. I didn't still put the poster. I'll put it out. This week, actually, we are starting third lesson in the theory class. Can I join now? Yes, you can. Just have a what do you call stuff view on the this one. I think so. And yeah. What is I? I is a variable used here in this program. You'll give the tune this week, right? I already gave, man. When you got the second lesson tune, the second lesson and third lesson tune, you got it together. I'll get the third lesson. So what do you call this one prepared? The post. I think the third one can't be. How many days did you get? You should have got three tunes. Second lesson tune, third lesson tune, and programming booklet. If you're coming to online class. Physical class, you would have got only the programming. I mean only the SDLC. Because in the class I'll be giving you the what do you call third lesson tunes. I physical and physical I'll be giving you the tune. Online category got both together. Those who are done with this question, raise your hands up in Zoom. P is actually a label. See the question, you have to find out what is P and Q. P and Q are two labels. We shall figure out. I'll be discussing that more. Programming. I think not yet. I'm not sure. I'll double check and but yeah, I forgot to keep the pending academy. I think that's why it was not discussed. I'll be going to tomorrow. I'll do it. I'll be getting the paper. I already gave in the class now. Yeah, physical, right? What if I win the raffle? You win, you'll be getting a tab. Okay, your time is up. Let's check your answers. Only 17 of you all did the question? Yeah, very bad. Come. You're so dumb. Sorry, sorry, not dumb. And you're so slow, man. Kodak mind is slip. What raffle? That raffle which you had in January or something, था मेरे को open करने. That physical class is published. इनने था published I guess. Yes, I am me actually. Correct. Okay. But you could assume that a player can receive a score between 1 and 10 for a game. Fine. Okay, so between 1 and 10, you can receive a score, it seems. That's some points like the score, particularly the scores a particular player has received in 10 games are stored in an array is as follows. Okay, so this is an array called labeled with S, or the array has a name called S, and this has the scores he obtained for each and every game. Normally, the score can vary. They have mentioned it between 1 and 10. Between 1 to 10, the score can vary. And the respective scores in the first game, second game, third game, fourth game, fifth game, sixth game, seventh game, eighth game, ninth game, and 10th game, we have stored in the array. That's also fine. It is required to find how many times the player scored 5 or higher. Okay, perfect. Next week, most of the arrival. So we have to figure out basically how many times he has got the 5 points or more. The flowchart drawn for that purpose is shown. Write down the correct risk placements for label P and Q. Right. Now, practically, if I ask you all to look at this array and tell me what do you call how many times the player scored 5 or higher, what's your answer? If I told you, okay, look at that I am saying that green color highlighted that array, we have the number of times he has a number of points he has scored for every game. And if I ask you how many times we get 5 or more, what's your answer? Just visually look and tell me. You don't have to do much. Exactly. You can see the answer is actually 6. Yes, correct. Okay, perfect. 6 times. What do you call they've got? Because how now to get that 6, you can't just look at the array only one of few numbers. You got to go through each and every value the array storing. Now the main part of arrays in programming, there's something called variables, and arrays are two different things. No, the main part of variables under one name. The name is called S. Under one name, you can store multiple values. So you have to go and check each and every value. Is it more or less? Is it more than or equal to 5? Is it greater than or equal to 5? Is it greater than or equal to 5? So if you go and check there, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the 6 numbers that are greater than or equal. To find this, I had to go and check through each and every value. I had to go and check through each and every value. Normally, you can identify each value separately. In arrays, if you take an array, you can store multiple values. No? So if you want to identify each value respectively or separately, these arrays have something called as index assigned for every box. Okay, so normally the index start with 0. So this will be index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. Okay, it will go up to index 9 if you correctly put all the index properly. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. So for example, the value in array is index 0. The value we have in index 0, that is basically 10. The value we have in array is index number 5 or index number 6. The value we have there is, you can see, 9. So likewise, every index has a separate value. Now, first thing we have to do is we have to go through each and every value. If you look at the program, you can see they're saying count equals P. Let's forget about count for now. I equals 0. Okay. And then you can see within the program what's happening is you're going to go and check is I less than 10. Fine. If I is less than 10, you're going to go and check is Si less than or equal, greater than or equal to Q. Now, Si means basically we're talking about the array S index I. Okay. Array S index I is a value there greater than or equal to Q. Now, you might be wondering what do you mean by no, S, okay, S is basically the name of the array. Now, inside the what you call square brackets, we have to mention the index of the array. Okay, we have to mention the index of the array. But without mentioning the index is always a number. Without mentioning number, we have to mention letter there. So you have to go and see, is this letter just a random letter, or does this letter have a value? Basically, is this letter just storing a letter, or is it a variable? You can see I is actually a variable. It has a value of 0. So when you go and check is Si greater than or equal to Q, what you're actually meaning here is array S index 0 because the value of I is 0 no. So you're going to go and check is the value of index 0, is it greater than or equal to Q? If it is greater, what you're doing here is you're going to increase the value of count. See, count equals count plus 1. At the end of the day in the program, when the program is going to end, just before the program ends, you're going to display the value of count. So based on this, you can get a rough idea. Okay, count might be the variable we are going to use to figure out how many times we have got a number that is greater than or equal to 5. Because you can see the question is 5 or higher, no? So the number of times we have got greater than or equal to 5, the number of times we have got, you're going to store that in the count variable, right? So you can look at this in the if you look at this in the program properly, if the count variable is going to store the number of times you got a number more than or equal to 5, before you check any values, because at this point, if you look at the first instruction here, at this point, you have not checked even one value in the array. So before you check any value in the array, what do you think the value of count is going to be? The number of times you have got 5. Before you even checked anything, if I have covered this green color highlighted array, and if I ask you, okay, how many times you have got 5, currently you have not checked anything. So currently your answer will be, before you checked any values, your answer would be what? The count would be exactly. Before you evaluated, before you went and checked any values, the value of count is going to be 0. Perfect. The value of count is going to be 0. So then we can say the label P is representing 0. So initially count is 0. And you can see whenever the count is greater than or equal to something, okay, you can see whenever the count is greater than or equal to something, we're increasing the value of count. Or else without increasing, we're directly going for the next round. Okay, we're going to increase the value of I. So second time we're going to check is Si greater than or equal to 5. It's going to go to array S index 1. Now array S index 1, array S index 2, these all we have to go and check is it greater than or equal to how much? This Q is representing how much? Basically, by increasing the value of count, if the value in that array is greater than or equal to how much? By increasing the value of count, if the value in the respective index, okay, if this value or if this value, if this value is greater than or equal to how much? Exactly. We increase the value of count only if the number is greater than or equal to 5. Perfect. Okay. Whenever the value is greater than or equal to 5, we are going to increase. You can see the question has mentioned clearly the local highlight statement. Whenever the value is greater than or equal to 5, we have to increase the value of count. So therefore, the label Q is representing number 5. So you're going to go and check is Si basically the array is index I, which means array is index 0. The value in index 0, is it more than 5? Array S index 1, is it more than 5? S2, is it more than 5? How is this 0, 1, 2 going to happen? Because you can see the value of I is being increased. Every time you can see before you go for the second loop, before we again come and check this condition, you can see every time there's a rotation. No? Whenever it's rotating, it's coming from here or you're coming from here even. Every time before you come and check, the value of I is increasing. So initially you're going to go and check S0, then you're going to go and check S1, then you're going to go and check S2. Likewise, you're going to go and check values. And you're going to go and check basically arrays index 0, index 1, index 2. Are these values more than how much? More than or equal to 5. So that is why the label Q is actually representing 5. Is that clear of you? Got the idea of P and Q? That I checks the corresponding number in the array. Now I is representing the index. So like for example, this purple color which I wrote here, or now I'm writing red color top of this. This is the index. So we're going to array is index. So now when you're writing arrays, here in the front you mention the name of the array, which is this. In the square brackets you mention the index, or else we call this the position of the array. So in this array, this bug number 10 is there in the 0 position. Number 5 is in the number 1 position. Number 3 is there in the number 2 position. Number 4 is there in the number 3 position. So these are called positions or as index. So in square brackets, you have mentioned the position. So I is representing the position in this scenario. Make sense? Okay, put 1 mark each and tell me out of 2 how many marks you got. If you have any questions, drop your question in the chat. It starts with 0. Yeah, see number 10 is there in index 0. See? Number 10 is there in index 0. Number 1 is there in index 5. So number 5 is there in index 1. Number 3 is there in index 2. The index starts with 0. Others, if you have any questions or doubts, drop in the chat. Can't we take the count as one and consider it as the first game played by the player? If you're taking the count as one, first thing you have to keep in mind is when you take arrays by default, okay, by default, index of arrays starts from zero. You can modify it. It's possible for you to modify the starting value, but by default, any array you take, the first value will be there, index zero. This is a default value. You can go and change the value, but by default. So if the question has clearly mentioned that the first one is index one, then fine. Here, have they given you the exact indexes? No. They have given you the name of the array, but they have not told you the index. So when they don't give you the exact index, when they have not mentioned this is index one, this is index two, like in certain questions, you might see they would have specified the index. See, here they would have mentioned the index A0, A1, A2. So if they had mentioned A1, then that's a different story. When they have not mentioned the index, by default, the first index is zero. Got it? That's a general rule in every programming language. Good job. I'm answering all of your chats. If there's any questions or doubts, drop in the chat. Huh? Next. I think in physical class, we have done this. Anyways, I'll give you 5 minutes. I'll give you 10 minutes. Do both the questions, Roman number one and two both. Like 5 minutes for Roman number one, 5 minutes for Roman number two. Do both at due 10 minutes. You wouldn't have done in this program booklet if you had done the physical class again. So do it here. Do these class recordings expire? Nope. Unlimited. Until 6 more is. What is the use of count equals count plus one? To increase the value of count. Always keep in mind when you have equation, when they say a equals a plus one, this is equation. Always an equation, we are giving a value for the variable mentioned left hand side. For this bug only, we are giving a value. Okay. So for example, let's say we had a program like this, a equals 0, or let's say a equals 5, a equals a plus 1. Or I'll put here b equals a plus 1 and a equals a plus 1. Now forget about this a equals a plus 1. If I have shown you only these two lines, if I say a equals 5 and b equals a plus 1, if I ask you what is the value of b, what will be your answer? B equals how much? B equals 6 because a is 5, 5 plus 1 is 6. Now if I ask you at this point, forget about this line. Huh? If I ask you what is the value of a, okay, what will be your answer? Let's say at this point now I'm asking what is the value of a. What will be your answer? A is 5. Okay. Now, if you look at this statement, this is the person who gave the value for A. If you look at this statement, this is the person who gave the value for B, right? So when I ask the value of A, we are going to, if you notice both the scenarios, you can see the left-hand side only we are mentioning for whom we are going to give the value. When you say A equals 5, we are going to say there's variable called A. The value it's going to get is 5. When you say B equals A plus 1, we're going to say there's variable called B. The value it's going to get is A plus 1. Similarly, when you say A equals A plus 1, the meaning of this is there's a value called A, variable called A. A is going to get the value of A plus 1. What is A plus 1? 5 plus 1, which is 6. So normally there's A equals A plus 1, B equals B plus 1, count equals count plus 1. That's normally used to increase the value of the respective variable. Did that make sense? Always keep in mind, in an equation like this, here we are representing the new value, and here we are representing the current value. So it's like the new value of A is going to be equal to the current value of A plus 1. Make sense? This is also from the 2022 oral paper. Yes. Actually, the previous question, this was the Roman number 8 is there. That was a compulsory question. And this is a selection question. I forgot to put all of your hands down earlier. So I'm going to put all of the hands down. Those who are done with this question, raise your hands up now. Do both Roman number 1 and 2. Once you're done with both, raise your hands up in Zoom. What is the VAR used to numbers and alphabets? VAR means variables. VAR means variable. So what do you mean by that? You mean what is the data type used for numbers and alphabets? Asking. We have to use nested if here, right? Yes. If you want to store both letters and numbers, in terms of programming, it's string. In terms of database, it's text. Why you made there's 2 more minutes. I don't know how to write pseudocode. So what to do? Go to YouTube and search for Master IT. Once you search for Master IT, I show you. Why is it taking so much time? Yes, I'll show you. Right. So once you go to Master IT, you can see this yellow color channel. So go and click on the yellow color channel. Why is this open? You can see there is something here called Introduction to Programming Part 1 and Part 2. So I think Part 1 has pseudocode main parts and Part 2 has flowchart thing. So just go through these two. Part 1 is for pseudocode. I saw only 2 hours in the Part 1. I want to tell you That was done around 2 or 3 years back, man. That's long time. I think that was in 2022 or 23. That's why that face looks different. Hey, I'm in class. Man. Hey, I'm in class. Go. The animals are around me. Go, 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 go. No, no. Hey, they're doing work. They're doing questions. They're having exams. Move. Go from everyone. I'm going to make a care and make sure go, 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 go. Exactly. Hey, yes, they are the monkeys actually, which I always talk about. I mean, these are some of the monkeys. There are more monkeys. Yes, Mahadi. No, ask the cousins. Okay, time up. Yeah, let's start. Good, good, good. So in this question, they are saying a student can go to school either by bicycle. Wait, let me change those. Okay, change them. Done successfully. A student can go to school either by bicycle, school van, or bus. It can be chosen based on the total distance as follows. Fine. Interesting. Apply that, Rashida. Okay, so they have three options: one, two, three, four options: bicycle, school van, or bus, and sorry, three options. Yes, and you can decide based on a certain criteria how to go. Fine. In these kind of questions, always you have to sketch the data. Okay, so what I mean by sketch the data is actually I do this for maths as well. Take a separate paper and just write a shortened form of what they're jabbering. Simple. See how I'm going to sketch it out. Huh? I might need 2 pages for this. May have the 2 pages again. And then I use 1 page itself. And I show copy it separately. Okay, fine. No, I have an empty page for this. Okay, shape that story itself. So let me do the sketching here. When the total distance is less than or equal to 5 kilometers, use a bicycle. So we have something called total distance. I'm going to use short form. When the total distance is less than or equal to 5 kilometers, use a bicycle. So 1 to 5 or 0 to 5. Okay, the total distance between 0 to 5. Then you have to go in the, what do you call it? Bicycle. That's what the question is saying. Next, the question is saying, when the total distance is more than 5 kilometers, but less than or equal to 15. So from 5 to 15. Okay, between 5 and 15. If the distance from home to the bus stop is less than 1 kilometer, okay, you can't directly choose here. So the total is more than 5 kilometers, but less than 15 kilometers. There's another condition to check. If the distance from home to the bus stop. So let's say distance from home to bus stop, I'll take that as D value. Yeah, because the question has mentioned here, distance to bus stop is D. Distance to bus stop is D, no? Wait, I'm actually answering the second question at the moment. Huh? So yeah, when the distance is more than, oh wait, forget about the question number, but yeah, I'm at the moment processing the question. When the distance is more than 1 kilometer, use a bus, otherwise use a school van, right? So after you get the total distance, there's another thing you have to check. That is the distance. Okay. You're going to go and check, is the distance more than in this part? Huh? You're going to go and check, is the distance more than 1 kilometer, right? So when you go and check the distance more than 1 kilometer, if the distance is more than 1 kilometer, use the bus, otherwise use a school van. The distance from home to bus stop is less than 1 kilometer. If it is less than 1 kilometer, use the bus. If it's no, they ask me to use the school van. Fine. Next, when the total distance is greater than 15 kilometers after this. Okay. If the monthly van fare is less than 2 times the monthly bus fare. So here what's going to happen is if your distance is in between this range, if the monthly van fare is less than, that is if the monthly van fare is less than 2 times the monthly bus fare, 2 times the monthly bus fare. Again, if you're seeing where am I getting this BF, BF, TD, it's mentioned in the question. So the question has mentioned to use total distance as TD, distance to bus stop as D, van fare as BF, bus fare as BF. So that's how I'm using it. Huh? If the van fare is less than 2 times the bus fare, what do you call? Use the school van. Otherwise, if when van is less than 2 times, use the school van. Otherwise, use the bus. If it's yes, use the van, or else use the bus. Now, technically, what I have done here is I just sketched what the whole question said. I graphically sketched it. Look at this and tell me, are you clear of this, all of you? Whatever the question mentioned here, I just rough sketch. Normally, this is more useful in maths questions, but yeah, is this clear? From 0 to 5, they ask me to use a bicycle. If it's more than 5, you have to go and check the distance. The distance is less than 1, use the bus. Or else use a school van. Is this part clear? Is this sketch clear? Simple. Greater than 15. See, they're saying when the total distance is greater than 15 kilometers, if the monthly van fee. Monthly van fee is what VF. If van fee is less than 2 times the bus fare. So less than, monthly van fare is less than 2 times the bus fare, 2 times BF. So if BF is less than 2 times BF, then use the van. Here's use the bus. Just the last statement. Makes sense. Now, using this idea, we're going to ask the question. We're going to answer the questions. Huh? Perfect. Write down the most suitable transportation modes for each of them. Let's check. First of all, we have to check the total distance because based on that, the whole thing is happening. You can see Sitara's total distance is 10. Let me just label this as A, B, and C. A, B, and C. Now tell me, Sitara's distance is coming in which range? A range, B range, or C range? Perfect. You can see Siddhartha's distance is coming in the B range. Now, if it's coming in the B range, can we directly tell, okay, use this vehicle killer without checking anything else? Directly, can we tell, okay, use this vehicle killer? If it's in the B range, directly, can we say use this vehicle? No, we can't directly mention. There's a condition to check. If it's in the B range, we have to go and check this condition. Is D less than 1? So if you go and check what is Sitara's total distance to bus stop, that is D, look at Sitara's distance to bus stop and tell me, you can see, look at Sitara's distance to bus stop is 0.5. Okay, it's not 5, it's 0.5. Huh? So based on this 0.5 value, okay, you can see here, it's 0.5. So based on this, tell me now, what do you think Sitara's, what do you call mode of transportation should be? Van or bus? Exactly. Yes. If you notice here properly, what do you call Sitara comes under Sitara's distance is 0.5. So when you go and check, is 0.5 less than 1? Yes, 0.5 is less than 1. So because 0.5 is less than 1, you have to suggest Sitara to use the bus. So Sitara is going to go in the bus. Simple. Similarly, when you go and see Ganesh, Ganesh is 20. Now tell me, Ganesh comes in which distance range? A, B, or C? Again, if there's any questions, drop in the chat. Huh? Distance of Ganesh comes in which range? 20 kilometers is in which range? A range, B range, or C range? I hope you all know numbers, huh? You all know the 20s. Correct. 20 is more than 15, right? So if it's more than 15, it should come in the C range. Okay. So based on that, if you look at this question, you can see again C range also. We can't directly tell what is the vehicle. There's a thing you have to check. You go and check is a van fare less than 2 times bus fare. What is Ganesh's van fare? 8,500. His bus fare is what? 4,000. So 2 times 4,000 is how much? 8,000. We have to go and check is 8,500 less than 8,000. If you go and check is 8,500 less than 8,000? No. So if it is no, then in that case, Ganesh has to go in what? Yes, I went and checked here. Is Ganesh's van fare less than 2 times bus fare? His van fare is 8,500. 2 times his bus fare is 8,000. So if I go and check is 8,500 less than 8,000? No. So therefore, you can see if it's no, Ganesh has to go in the bus. So for Ganesh, the mode of transportation has to be bus. Got it? Now next. If I go and check Salim, Salim is 14. 14 comes in B range. Again, if you're in B range, there's a check condition of check here is D less than 1. So if you go and check is D less than 1, no, because 1.5. You go and check is 1.5 less than 1, it's giving you a no. So because it's giving you a no, we have to go in the school van. So basically, Salim is going to go in the school van. And similarly, if you go and check Nima's distance is 3. Okay. Nima's is very easy actually. If the distance is 3, that comes in which range? A, B, or C? Sorry, I'm writing their names again. Sitara has to go in bus, and Ganesh has to go in the bus. Yeah. Nimal. Okay. Nimal's range comes in what? A range. If it's in A range, directly, Kadiko, can we tell the vehicle, what vehicle he has to go to? If it's in A range, like directly, can you log it? The vehicle you have to go, killer? Yes, we can. So what is the vehicle, what do you call in the A range people has to go to? Or basically, Nimal has to go through. Yes. If it's in A range, then they have to go through the bicycle. So Nimal is going to go through bicycle. Put 1 mark each and tell how many marks you all got. Others, if you don't have doubts, drop your doubts in chat. Always when you get a question, sketch the question like this. This process of sketching is there. That is the process of understanding the question. First, you understand the question, and then you start answering the doubts question. So using this idea, tell me how many marks you got out of 4 marks. Good job. Perfect. Okay. The Roman number 2, I'll be discussing next week because it's 6 o'clock now. Okay. But those who were stuck with this question earlier, you all can actually look at this sketch I drew. This might help you to answer this question properly. For those who had issues understanding the question. Okay. When I start next week's class, we'll be starting with discussing this question. Okay. I'll just mark here and kept to be discussed. So when you're coming next week, make sure that you have this question answered and we'll be discussing from there, right? Okay, with that, actually, we're done for the day. If you have any question, you can stay and ask. Others, you can be. We're done for the day. The second question would be, there's a flowchart, right? Practically speaking, flowchart is easy to what do you call like understand. For example, what I've drawn here is a type of flowchart. It's a flowchart. You can see, okay, something you can kind of flowchart. But if you are given the task to write it, writing a pseudocode is fast. You can just write, and go. So to understand the question, yes, flowchart is easy. But when answering, pseudocode is more fast because there's nothing to draw. I mean, it doesn't consume much time. But yeah, okay, welcome, bye bye, barakallah. I sent e-dishes. I replied no. I just check again. Yes, bye bye. You're sounding like Rizwan's about sketching. I used to do this from grade 8. I think grade 8 is where I properly started sketching questions. Especially for those questions where they talk about simultaneous questions. I always make sure I write point forms. This is this here. You have even now when I'm doing all these questions, also you might notice when I'm doing the question, I always write something. I write a summary of the question in some scribbling. Have that habit. We'll make sure that you get a questions properly. Gives us too much details to confuse the question. No. Always, reading, what you try to do is you read and then you try to reply. Like, for example, let's say someone is talking to you or messaging you, you read their message and you reply. No. It's not a two-thing process. You read, you understand, and you reply. Similarly, here, you read the question, you understand the question, and then you answer the questions. You don't directly read and then answer. Or you don't directly just read and just stay. You read, then you read the question as well, the whole thing. Once you read the whole thing for the first time, you read the whole thing for the second time. Now, reading the whole thing for the second time, it will make more sense because you read the whole thing for second time, you know, okay, VF means van fare, D means bus stop killer because you read the whole question now. So you'll always again read the question. Second time you're reading, try to understand, okay, what are they meaning by this? So technically, what is the question talking about? What is the question talking about? There are three vehicles and we're going to decide which vehicle the student has to go to. How are we going to decide? You can see the first thing is when the total distance less than or equal to 5 kilometers. Sketch it. Okay, total distance, if it's between 0 to or equal to 5 means between 0 to 5, we have to use a bicycle. So just sketch down what they're meaning. It will make your work more easy. I'll check more on. So happy, easy question. I got 82 for the first time. Good job, Umair. Will you send the PDF of this? Yes, I'll be posting all these stuffs in the WhatsApp community. If you're not there in the WhatsApp community, make sure you click on the link I dropped in the chat and join it. We'll post in the recording, the PDF field version, unfilled version, everything. Yes, wow. That does. Should I bring my first time paper this? Yes, bring and come. Bring. You're welcome. Okay, I think I answered all the questions. Yeah, if there's anything again, you can just WhatsApp me to this number and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So yeah, have a nice day. Bye-bye.